the recent poultry disease outbreak in Brazil has finally been ended. While this is seen as a relief to many, it has raised significant concerns about the potential impact on trade, especially for countries that heavily rely on Brazilian imports, like South Africa. Concerns have also been raised about the ramifications of any future outbreaks on South Africa's poultry imports and food chain supplies. Brazil currently accounts for up to 80% of this country's imported chicken, making the stability of the supply crucial for South Africa's food security. Let's unpack this with poultry industry commentator Fred Hume, who joins us via our video link this morning. Fred, great to see you. Thanks for making time for the SABC. How best can we protect ourselves from whatever takes place in poultry farms in Brazil here at home?
Good morning, Ayanda. Thank you for the opportunity. Ayanda, so you're quite right. The Newcastle disease outbreak has ended. This has not been our problem. What we are lobbying for currently is for a revision of the policies that deal with bird flu or avian flu. Now, South Africa currently has allowed regionalization for the United States, afforded them regionalization. This means that if there's an outbreak of bird flu in a given state, say Georgia, we can't import from Georgia, but we can import from all the other members, all the other states in the US. This is not currently the same protocol that's afforded Brazil, a fellow BRICS partner. As it stands with Brazil, if there's an outbreak of bird flu tomorrow, the next day, we would ban the entire country. And this would effectively mean that all Brazilian poultry imports would cease immediately, with significant and disastrous ramifications for the food supply chain and the meat processors based in this country.
And what was the thinking behind that? I mean, is that just a lag in policy reform, or was there some kind of justification for that differential around what happens in the US, for example, and in Brazil?
I think it's a legacy issue. Certainly, the US health certificate was negotiated more recently than the Brazilian one. And I think we just need to revise this urgently. We prepare for war in times of peace. And this is what we're trying to motivate and lobby for now. You know, that we are rather proactive. Instead of waiting for this calamity to befall us, let's act immediately while we have space and opportunity to do so.
Yeah, speaking of opportunity, this is also a chance, I suppose, to speak about South Africa possibly looking at diversifying its poultry imports. I mean, for 80% of the country's chicken to come from one country, I mean, that presents very obvious risks, some people might argue.
Certainly, but Ayanda, it's important to note that the bulk of those poultry imports are made up or constituted by mechanically deboned meat, which is not produced in any great quantity in South Africa or anywhere else in Africa for that matter. South African producers sell the raw material used to make MDM or mechanically deboned meat for much higher prices as poultry offals or bones, meaty bones in this country. So there are substitutes, European. And I think, again, we could be more, more proactive in reopening markets that have been closed due to bird flu. Also relaxing some of the draconian conditions in the health certificates, particularly thinking now about Holland, where all poultry must be born, raised, slaughtered in the country of origin, making it difficult for MDM producers in that country who source raw material from all over Europe. But I do agree with you, significant amount of risk there. But right now, all we need to do is transpose the conditions contained in the American health certificate, which deal with regionalization, and let's apply those to Brazil. So with a stroke of the pen, we then limit the impact from the whole country going down to possibly only a state. So this would change a lot. We also want to actively lobby for heat treatment on arrival. This has already been employed in pork, where we import product from countries that are not deemed to be free of porcine reproductive respiratory syndrome. And there are very well established heat treatment protocols in place. This can also be applied to poultry once more. And I think it's important to note that a lot of the poultry offal that is currently being sold into the school feeding scheme originates in Brazil. This would be affected. And as I say, the South African Meat Processors Association, their members currently employ in excess of 25,000 people. They depend on this raw material from Brazil. let's deal with this as soon as possible.
Fair enough, I hear that. Could the issue be possibly solved by increased localization? And I appreciate that that comes with unintended consequences sometimes, including an increase in prices. But would that be a solution?
Well, certainly not a short-term solution at all, because remember, you produce in ratio. So MDM is a byproduct of killing chicken, in a sense. So you need there are more. It's a much bigger topic, basically. Essentially, you need market access to premium markets for boneless leg meat, which the Brazilians, where they have Japan. You need access to Europe for boneless breast meat. So it's not something that can be solved instantly or certainly, and I think South Africa is not alone in depending on Brazil. Brazil is a massive exporter of food, basically playing an essential part in global food supply chains, not simply South Africa. So not something I believe that we can deal with in the short term, no.
All right, Fred Hume, thanks very much indeed for helping us understand this issue. Something tells me we're all affected by it in one way or the other. Fred Hume is a poultry industry commentator. Once again, we appreciate your time.